Interesting. That was a lovely story. That was a lovely story about Sarah, Will. Have you been in the shower this whole time, Will? I'm sorry. It's a long
Sarah and
shower.
I still meet up. It took a few years before that was comfortable. I still love her. I'm not sure she realizes how much, but not the way I did back then. I felt awful when we broke up, but it was right. I loved two people, and she saw a future for me that I couldn't. She's smarter than me, I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, whoa. Hi, Will. Wow. Okay, Will. Personal space, buddy. Will. Will. Well, what am I doing? Oh, I don't know what to click. Next. Well. Oh, over there. See, that's really hard to
The small
spot.
things mean a lot. Sarah set me in motion to be here now. A word, an act, just going through everyday life with someone. It all has meaning. I've lost some of the
Good.
wide-angle view of my life. I want our lives to work, Harry and I.
Hmm. That's right. Get your hair all fixed up there.
Marriage on my mind. Scent of sandalwood in my armpits. Sexy.
Sandalwood. Love that.
I love him. I'm being stupid, wanting action and adventure every day. I've got enough of that, and love right here. Or, I wonder if he would like more than only marriage.
Like
We could
kids?
start a
Yeah,
family.
there we go.
Kids. Wow. That that could be good, actually. Maybe I'll leave that conversation to another day, eh? One thing at a time.
That's probably a smart thing to do.
Shit. What if I propose and he says no?
Well, I mean, that's always a fear, but that shouldn't stop you if you really feel like the time is right.
Am I going too fast?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think Harry wants a family. We'll talk about it. I think it would be good. The most important day of my life ahead.
I was about to say, is that an ashtray? Are
I'll
you
need
smoking
these.
now? Oh, and he's gonna go to the car and he's gonna say, I love you. And then he's gonna
I
get
don't
into a
know what
car
lies ahead,
accident.
but it'll be amazing.
This is so sad because he had that car accident. Now we're gonna meet Harry. I love you. Have a good day.
I love you. Have a good day. So many memories, and I've not taken the time to think about how much they mean to me. It's time for a change.
Well, we did some change. We went to the kitchen before we went to the we went to the kitchen before we went to the bathroom.
I forget sometimes how beautiful this city is.
We're going through this all over again. We're doing this all over again. Why are we doing this all over again?
The little things matter. Take this elevator button. Someone made it look that way, and I never even thought about it once.
Deja vu.
There are so many things I've never really looked at. Things that work perfectly, but I just ignore. I get stuck in patterns, doing the same thing every day.
Speaking of same thing, yeah, I think we're...
It feels like I'm locked in.
Yeah, I have been getting some Groundhog Day vibes right now for some reason. I wonder why. Do I have to go through this whole sequence again and watch the poor man get into a car accident? I guess I do.
I'm going to take control.
I'm not sure what the point of going through this whole thing again is. They could have just gotten to the part where we're at that light, because we already saw this. So far, everything's exactly
I
the
don't
same.
want to lose what we've got to by not paying attention to it.
Speaking of not paying attention, make sure you pay more attention to the road, Will. No, I should. It wasn't his fault. He was in a. He appeared to have gotten rear-ended. I'm just joking, Will. I'm just playing with you.
Some of the patterns are worth keeping. Other patterns, they're just habits with no meaning.
Yeah, we've already gone through this. We've already gone through this, Will. Yeah, that is one critique I'll give this game. We didn't have to go through this whole thing all over again. Unless there was something slightly different, but so far everything's been exactly the same. Yeah, it could have picked us up right here without having to go through the entire. His dialogue is exactly the same.
With him. I have to be sure he knows that.
Maybe this is just a way for them to make this game a little bit longer than it is. Yeah. We already know all that. We've gone through that already. I'm not sure what the point of doing that a second time, exactly the way it was, is.
Sunday was always our day together.
It's Harry.
We worked too much during the week to see each other often. So on Sundays, we would go to feed the ducks. I wish we hadn't worked so hard. We loved it in the summer. Like it was when it happened. But the bare trees in the winter had their beauty too. We would walk among them in thick coats, holding each other for warmth. It was our place to be together.
Aww. That's an interesting looking sculpture of a swan? Seagull? Something along those lines?
This whole place makes me think of him.
Fragments of him.
He loved ducks. They always made him smile. It was something in the way they walked. And then one day, he was gone.
So he did die. Oof. This whole game is about how this guy died. Oh, this is sad. That's so tragic. Oh,
No one knows yet who caused the crash, but he was driving at the time. It doesn't really matter anymore. He was unconscious from the crash to the hospital. I don't remember the journey in the taxi.
Oh,
I just
Harry.
remember standing at the desk inside, asking for him, crying. And a doctor quietly took me aside to tell me I was too late.
Look at all these fragments of him. Oh, this is heartbreaking. All
We would
this
lie in bed
stuff.
and read, our breathing sinking. He would close his book, kiss me, and fall asleep.
Oh. So sad. He just did
Such a small
his
thing.
toothbrush. His toothbrush.
A week after the crash, I was calm. Then I saw his toothbrush and knew I had to throw it away. And wept. Collapsed on the floor of the bathroom.
Oh.
All these things, these reminders of our time together.
Oh no.
I never thought I'd be here. Wanting them gone.
This is so sad. Everything is just losing its... everything gone. Everything feels so empty now. And blurry. Poor Harry.
When friends come to visit me, they speak to me in a quiet voice, as if a loud sound might startle me. They ask about the missing objects. I say, I'm going for a minimalist look. They nod and give me a strange smile, but I know they don't believe me. They know the reminders hurt too much.
Yeah, because there's too many fragments of him, apparently. Oh, well. I only knew you for about an hour and a half. But I feel like I lost a good friend.
I've been walking more since he died. I've been trying to get away from the memories to find something new. But everywhere I go, I see things that make me think of him.
Fragments of him.
He once told me that you could judge how much money there is in an area by the state of the street lamps. Something
Oh.
about the style and the freshness of the paint. I don't remember.
Interesting.
I'm not ready to sit at a table for one yet, staring at an empty seat.
You don't have to, Harry.
The car was barely damaged in the accident. It was just a knock,
Oh!
twisting his neck the wrong way.
Oh!
The insurance asked if I wanted to repair the car,
Oh!
but I couldn't speak to answer.
That stinks. Like, the car came out okay, all things considered. It was just his neck was, ugh. Ugh. That is really depressingly sad. I mean, if the car was completely totaled, but
I decided to stay inside more.
grieving is horrible. I'm surprised they didn't go through, their meeting, like before going to this aftermath of his death, that they didn't go more into how they met and how their relationship grew, so you could get a little bit more invested in Harry. I felt like that would have helped a
Keep
lot
to the
to help you
inside.
get more invested in Harry.
I can control what's in here. But even at work, there are reminders. I need this space to be clear, so I can be free. Get rid of all these things. I'll get new things, things that I didn't use with him.
Wow. I mean, that is a coping mechanism. It hurts to be reminded of the person that gave you so much joy, knowing that
When
they're
will it stop
gone.
hurting to think of him? I just don't know. I don't know how I feel or how to feel. There's something cold inside my chest, pulling me down. How are we supposed to go on? People talk about getting closure, but his story was only half written.
Yeah. That's why it's so tragic and so sad.
I'm nearly there.
Everything is changed. Oh my, the dark, empty apartment.
It's all
Are we
gone.
moving?
He's gone,
Oh
but he's
my
not.
gosh.
I can't get rid of him. Why won't he leave me alone?
Oh, this is so sad. Every time I try to click him, every time you try to click him, you're trying to make him go away, but he's never fully goes away. Well, I guess he's going away little by little.
I'm different now. He changed me. I feel the space he's left inside me. But it's okay. It's his shape.
That's a
It's going
really
to be part of
beautiful
me that I
line.
carry forever. Denying that would be killing him again.
This is so profound. The writing of this is so great and so interesting. Gripping. Oh my. Am I replacing everything now?
Living on after this. I'll hold on to the love and the memories.
Oh my. And of course, it's a little tropey that he died just before deciding. He died right after deciding he was going to ask to marry him. But it's still,
He'd
even
hug me now.
though it's tropey.
Laugh at me for crying, then probably burst into tears and start laughing at himself too.
Ugh. The ducks.
He's not gone. Not really. His favourite stories are still here.
Oh.
I'm going
Like
to
the
read them
rats.
all.
Oh. Everything is going back. All the fragments. Oh, Harry.
I don't know about afterlife things. Maybe I'll see him again someday. Maybe I won't. It's enough to know part of him lives on with me.
Yeah. This is
I'll
Grandma's.
never forget him.
It's Grandma.
He reached out to me when I had pushed him away.
Oh.
Once I looked after him, but that day he looked after me.
Oh, Will.
I saw things with him that I would never have dreamed of as a child.
Okay, so this
Are
is
you
the mouse.
Teaching your grandma how
He
to
came
use
to
the
visit me often over the
computer.
next few years.
You should teach her about the internets and the YouTubes.
He was growing up, and the world was changing too.
Yeah,
He was becoming mature.
yeah.
And then you came to see me.
Harry? Oh, Harry came to see her? Oh, I must wonder what that must have been like. Oh, it's Harry. He went to go tell her what happened. Oh no.
And then you told me what had happened.
Mm. Sarah. I remember this. She got
It's
a
one of
phone
those
call.
strange things. I had just been thinking about Will.
I was thinking the phone call was Harry. Was Harry telling her what happened?
We
or the
kept in touch a
grandma?
little, then a few years later became friends again when he was working based out of London. It felt good to have him in my life again.
Yeah, that phone call is Harry or his grandmother. Somebody telling her what
He
happened to
talked
Will.
about his job, his family. He often spoke about you both.
It's Harry. Since she said you both, it's Harry.
He told me how happy he was. And then you called me.
Mm-hmm.
He was happy at the end.
Yeah. It's all three of them.
He loved you both so much. I still keep on thinking I'll see him again, or that he's walking beside me just in the corner of my eye. It's silly, really. I kept thinking about how bad my luck was, but that's not true. We were lucky. We were so lucky.
This is very beautiful. it's their spot at the
After we shared our
university.
memories, I went back to the park where I'd spent so much time with Will. They had shared fragments of his life with me that I had never known. I felt a kind of peace. It helped, talking with others. Will was gone, but I wasn't alone. I was never alone. I just needed to reach out. Life isn't a planned event. It's just a journey. And some travelers only stay with us for a little while. I
That's
don't
so
know if I'll love
true.
like that ever again. But to have felt it once, and to know that love is real, that's enough for me.
Oh, the feels of this game. Oh, just each of those words. Whew! Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. So that was it, guys. That was Fragments of Him. It was a very short and sweet game, like I said. It wasn't that long. The gameplay was very minimal. Pretty much it was just trying to find the next object that you needed to click. That's really what it was. Go look around and click on the next object. So, I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, it wasn't particularly interesting, but the story was really interesting. I felt that it would have been a lot more impactful if they had made a couple of changes to the way that the game was laid out, like the timeline of the game. If they had Josh Whedon, student barman, there's actually a Josh Whedon, Weeden. That's interesting. I think that it would have been better for them to have that intro part where Will is driving at the beginning, if they cut it before he got hit by the car. Like, I know that maybe that's a really interesting and really shocking way to start a game, but I felt the emotional impact would have been so much better if you didn't already know he was going to die. You know, he was going... I think it would have been better if you had built up Will through the stories of Sarah and through the grandma and Harry. I feel like the other thing they should have done is they should have added a section with Harry before Will died. You know, had him show how the relationship began and how it started. Maybe it had that one scene. I expected, you know, since we saw Sarah in the grandma side of things, and since we saw Harry in grandma's story, that we would have seen that scene with Harry and Will. It made a lot of sense for that parallelism to there, but it never happened. So I am disappointed. I think they dropped the ball on that. They should have added in a separate Harry scene from the past and then continued on, because I felt like you needed some of that extra investment in Harry as a character and also more insight on Will. And then I think that instead of completely redoing the introduction like they did, because it seemed a little pointless for you to go through every single thing in the epilogue when there wasn't a change. It was pretty much exactly the same thing. I think it would have been better if they picked it up from Will driving and then showed the crash for the first time after you had gone through all of the backstories. Because then I think that would have had a much more emotional impact, no pun intended. That would have been a lot more emotional in my... Because I was prepared for it. I think since before I even got a chance to really get to know Will and really become invested in him, I already knew he was going to die. And I think that was not a good decision on the writers or game developers, because I felt like it would have been so much better because I didn't really shed a tear. I was expecting to be it doesn't take that much for me to get emotional and to cry in a game, with things that are full of feels. And I felt like things like that would have helped me be able to get to the point where I could cry. But I just never got there because I think I was already prepared. I was ready for him to die. and then, you know, they moved on after that and showed the aftermath. And so, yeah, those are the two major things that I would have changed. It's three major things. Number one, don't reveal the death until after the fact, after you get all the backstory. Two, don't completely redo the prologue again. It was not the epilogue, it's the prologue. Don't completely redo the prologue all over again, because it was a little, it took away from the gameplay when you're like, this is exactly the same thing. Why am I going through the exact same thing all over again? There was really not much of a point. And then three, have an extra backstory segment with Harry. But I mean, the story was really interesting in the sense that it was really cool to be able to get the grandmother's perspective, even though it's probably frustrating with a lot of people. But maybe some of you even agreed with it. Maybe or at least at some point, agreed with her. Maybe if several of you felt the same way that she did. Maybe some of you out there still feel the same way she did. So, it's, even though some of us can be frustrated at that point of view, it's still a point of view that exists. And I think the only way that we can move forward is to recognize that those points of views exist, recognize why they believe the things they do, why they say the things they do, why they behave in the way that they do, in order to move forward to some sort of understanding of each other. Sarah's story was really surprising. Like I said, it went in directions that I did not see coming, and you know, more power to Sarah. I felt that she was a very, very cool and respectable character. And again, since we didn't really get that backstory with Will, I didn't get a chance to get attached with Will hardly at all. I, of course, felt very sympathetic that he lost his husband and that he was grieving about it, but I didn't have the investment with him as a person, as Harry, not just a general, because at that point he was just a generic, not generic, it's more than that, but he was just another character that lost a loved one, as opposed to he was Harry, like Harry who lost a loved one. This was somebody else who was going to become Will's fiance who lost a loved one, which is sad. But we didn't have, because we didn't have as much of a build up to it like we did with Sarah and with Grandma. It was kind of lost. They dropped the ball on that. But you know, it's an interesting story talking about death and the loss of someone. I felt like they could have dealt with that more. You know, it was a fine game. Not a game that I would replay again. I think the problem with a game like this is its replayability is pretty much next to nothing. The art style was interesting. You know, the only frustrating thing, of course, from the game mechanics was trying to find some of those hard to find things to click on. That was a little bit frustrating and distracted. I think that distracted from the story a bit. It distracted from what the story was trying to say. But I mean, I value the game for what it is, and I value the game for its message. I wouldn't say that it was fun playing the game. It was just interesting. It was interesting playing the game, but I wouldn't say that I was completely like having fun per se, fun playing the game. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching Fragments of Him, and we'll see what game I'll be let's playing next. So until then, love yourselves and love each other.